It's now officially 2023, and I feel this year could be a huge year for Nintendo. While I don't expect this year to be nearly as big as 2017 or 2018 for the Switch, I definitely feel Nintendo has some big things planned for the console this year. Today, I'll be taking a look at possible things that Nintendo can release this year, starting with more realistic games to some that are less likely but I'd be happy to see. I am the biggest nub on YouTube, Christendo, and this is my prediction for Nintendo's 2023. Before getting into the predictions, we must look at what we know Nintendo is releasing this year. The first thing that comes to mind is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which releases on May 12th. There's no denying that this is the most anticipated game releasing from Nintendo this year, and there's nothing even closer to the hype this game has. Up next is Fire Emblem Engage, which is actually releasing this month on January 20th. I don't really know much about this game besides its existence, but it looks like this game will be giving a lot of fan service to fans of the franchise by bringing back characters like Marth, Roy, and Violet as emblems through Emblem Rings. The game will also have 4 waves of DLC releasing after the game releases, with the first wave coming out with the launch of the game. The long-awaited Pikmin 4 is confirmed to be releasing sometime in 2023. We don't know much about this game as there hasn't been any gameplay shown, but the game does in fact exist and I feel it will have a release month of September. Kirby's Return to Dreamland, an enhanced port of the original Wii game, releases on February 24th. I honestly don't know much about this game as I have never played the original for the Wii, but it seems like fans of the Kirby series really enjoyed this one, so I'm happy they were able to get a remaster of one of the most beloved games featuring the pink puffball. 6 months after the release of Bayonetta 3, Bayonetta Origins, Caesura and the Lost Demon will be released for the Nintendo Switch on March 17th. The only thing we know about the game at this time is what was shown off during the Game Awards 2022, but I'm sure this will be a game Bayonetta fans will enjoy. And to finish off the confirmed stuff for Nintendo's 2023, we have a bunch of DLC. First things first, we have the only DLC that matters, the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. Waves 4 through 6 of the Booster Course Pass will be released this year, bringing the last 24 tracks to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 DLC will also be releasing this year, with there being 2 ways of releasing. It is likely these DLCs will bring a new hero with them as well as new outfits, with the last one supposedly including a new original story scenario. Splatoon 3 will be having large-scale paid DLC, and while it wasn't confirmed that this will be released this year, it most likely will be released sometime in the first half of the year. Splatoon 3 will also be having a few different Splatfests this year, as long as new catalogs throughout the year. Lastly, the Super Mario Bros. Movie releases on April 7th. While this isn't a game or DLC releasing, this is still a huge step for Nintendo, as this is the first time Nintendo will have their characters on the big screen since the failure of the Super Mario Bros. Film back in 1993. Could this open the doors for the Nintendo Cinematic Universe? Only time can tell. With the confirmed stuff out of the way, we can now move on to the fun stuff being predictions. As mentioned before, I will be starting off with more likely games and later on to games that are less likely. What I feel is definitely going to happen this year is a new mainline Super Mario game, either in 2D or 3D. This is a super common prediction right now because the Super Mario Bros. Movie is releasing this year as well, so it'd be a better time than ever for a new mainline Mario game to release, especially with it being 5 years since the last mainline title if you don't count Bowser's Fury. When it comes to 3D Mario games, a lot of people think it's going to be Super Mario Odyssey 2, including some of you, but personally I feel Nintendo will take a different approach. Bowser's Fury was a smaller game packaged with Super Mario 3D World for its Switch release, and this small adventure featured one world with many different islands. I feel like Bowser's Fury is in a way an experiment for Nintendo, to see how an open world Mario game will work. I think if it's a 3D Mario game we get this year, it will have to be an open world game. I feel like too much time has passed since Odyssey released for Odyssey 2 to become a reality, so this seems to be the most likely scenario when it comes to 3D Mario. Moving on from 3D Mario, let's talk about 2D Mario. There has been a rumor floating around that there is a new 2D Mario game that is very far into development that could be releasing as soon as this year. While this may be a rumor, I do think this could be a reality since it's been 11 years since the last 2D Mario game, not counting Super Mario Maker. This game is said to not be part of the new Super Mario Bros. Games, but instead something completely original. I feel like it could be possible for this game to have a tie-in with the movie in some way, but whether or not it's a 2D or 3D game, I definitely feel it is time for us to get a new Super Mario game. Another rumored game that could happen this year is a new Donkey Kong game. There have been rumors for a couple years now that there is a new Donkey Kong game being developed by the team that brought out Super Mario Odyssey, and I honestly don't think this is super unlikely. It has almost been 9 years since the last game of the Donkey Kong Country series, being Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, released in February of 2014. It has definitely been long overdue for everyone's favorite monkey to get a new game. So whether it's a new 2D game following Tropical Freeze, or a 3D game similar to Donkey Kong 64, I feel it's very likely for Donkey Kong to get the new game he deserves. A game that has been going through development hell for a while now is Metroid Prime 4, as it had to restart development because the team didn't feel it was as good as they hoped it'd be. While some may think it could be the year this game finally releases, I don't think it's quite ready and won't be until 2024, but I do feel like we will be getting something Metroid related this year. I think this year would be the perfect time for Nintendo to release the Metroid Prime trilogy for the Nintendo Switch with updated visuals, to give fans of the series something to play while they wait for Metroid Prime 4, and so new players can experience the other Metroid Prime games before Metroid Prime 4 releases. If Nintendo doesn't do this, I'd honestly be surprised, as that would be such a missed opportunity for them. Up next is Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC. While the game just released back in November of 2022, I feel that there will be DLC announced for the game during the Pokemon Day presentation, with some sort of DLC releasing sometime this summer. Popular theory is that the DLC will have players revisiting the Kalos region and could bring back Mega Evolution, but only time could tell as to what this DLC could be. On the topic of DLC, I feel it is definitely possible for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom to get DLC announced and maybe even released this year. Both The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity got DLC, with Breath of the Wild's releasing the same year as the game, and Age of Calamity's releasing within a year of the game's launch. Since we don't know too many details about Tears of the Kingdom's story at this time, it's hard to say what the DLC could be, but I definitely feel this will happen this year. Does anyone remember Nintendo Switch Sports? I don't think Nintendo's quite done with this game yet, even though it took them 9 months to make golf. I feel like sometime this spring we can see a new update for the game, including a couple of new sports. These new sports could be anything from being sports in Wii Sports like baseball or boxing, to something we haven't seen before like basketball or dodgeball. I just hope this game isn't forgotten forever by Nintendo, because I definitely feel it could have potential to be a good game if Nintendo actually tries to make it good. As much as I don't want to see it, I think we might get another Mario Sports game this year. Ever since 2021, it seems like Nintendo has been releasing one of these a year, with Mario Golf Super Rush being released in 2021 and Mario Strikers Battle League released in 2022. If Nintendo decides to release another sports game this year, it'll most likely be a new addition to the Mario Soldier series, as this is the last Mario Sports game series to not have a game on the Switch. I don't think this is as likely as the things mentioned before, but I feel there is a good chance they'll go this route. But I hope Nintendo waits to fully finish the game before they release it, rather than rush it out and release free DLC that should have been in the game at launch. While the game was indefinitely delayed, I feel like Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp has a good chance of releasing depending on the situation going on in the world right now. And it's really hard to say for sure when it comes to this game because of what's going on right now, but if things mellow out, I feel like this game could get a release date of fall 2023. The things from here on I feel are a bit less likely than the things I have already mentioned, but there could be a slight chance of them happening. F-Zero fans have been left with no new game in the franchise for a lifetime now, so maybe it can be time for the series to see the light of day again. If this does happen, I feel it'll either be a completely new game in the series titled F-Zero NX or something along those lines, or a remaster of F-Zero GX from the GameCube. As much as I'd love for this series to get a new game, I feel like it most likely won't be this year because of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. But I will continue to hold out hope for this series, even if it means not getting a game until the Booster Course Pass is finished. This one could be a little more possible than a new F-Zero game, but I'd still be kinda shocked if this one happened this year. I think there could be a slight possibility of a Kid Icarus Uprising remaster coming to the Switch this year. This game is one of the most powerful games on the 3DS and looks so good for being on a handheld, but suffers from the limited control scheme the 3DS has. If this game comes to the Switch, I definitely feel this would be the definitive way to play it, with better controls and HD upscaling to make the game look even better than it did before. This game most likely won't come this year, but if it does, that would be amazing. We can't do one of these videos without talking about the next gen console. What if this year Nintendo announces their plan for the next console, whether it be an upgraded version of the Switch or something entirely new? Now this would be very cool to see, but considering the Switch is Nintendo's best-selling console, I don't think we will see a new console for a while. People say it's very likely for the Switch Pro to be released this year to follow the trend of a new Switch model every 2 years, but if we get a new model this year, I feel it could be something like the Nintendo Switch Lite OLED, but who knows, maybe Nintendo will prove me wrong. This final one has to be by far the most unlikely one to happen, considering the developers of this game series no longer exist, but I would kill to have a Mario and Luigi game released this year. Unfortunately, with Alpha Dream going bankrupt in 2019, this is super unlikely to happen, but maybe there's a slight chance Nintendo could have another company take this series and let it see the light of day once again. If this does happen, I feel like Monolith Soft would be the perfect company to be in charge of the future of this series, as they have experience with creating beautiful worlds as well as great RPGs. I could make a whole video about what a Monolith Mario and Luigi game would look like, so let me know if you'd like to see this. But if this happened this year or even ever, I would be the happiest man alive, as I love this game series to death. And that, my friends, is my prediction for Nintendo's 2023. Do I think all of this will happen? Definitely not. But I do think there's a good chance for at least some of these predictions to come true this year. Are there any games I missed or that you'd like to see come to the Switch this year? Let me know in the comments, as I'd love to see what kind of games you guys want to see happen. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel, as that helps out a ton. If you want to see another video made by me, there is a video on screen now where I create the Nintendo Cinematic Universe and come up with movies I think would happen if Nintendo decided to do this. With that being said, I'm the biggest noob on YouTube, Cristendo, signing off, and I hope you have an amazing day.